You're listening to Money FM 89.3. I'm Chua Tian Tian with your market view. Now, VC investments into the tech industry is on our agenda today amid massive layoffs by a number of big names like GoTo, Meta, and Twitter, as well as the bankruptcy of cryptocurrency exchange FTX. With valuations for startups dropping by some 30 to 50% in some cases, VCs at the Bloomberg New Economy Forum held last week warned that the tech industry could be seeing a fundamental overhaul going forward. But how would VCs calibrate their investments in the tech industry? And for more, let's speak to Debneel Mukherjee. He's the founder and managing partner at Decacorn Capital. Hi, Debneel.
Hi, how are you doing today?
Well, great, and great to have you on our show with us. Well, to get us started, Debneel, I appreciate it if you could share with us a little bit more about Decacorn Capital, the sectors you're focused in, and the profile of customers you serve.
Basically, we are a tech VC. And towards that, we believe tech is cuts across all the layers, and therefore we are sector agnostic. As well as we believe that that Bay Area model of 100-mile radius of where the VCs are based, which worked for the 60s and the 70s and the 80s, are quite broken. Today, we join the dots, and therefore we make the world our oyster, and hence look for going after the best in class wherever they belong. And that's how we try to do more tech defensible plays run by very resourceful entrepreneurs.
Right. And Debneel, I was taking a look at some of your portfolio companies you have invested in, for instance, Snap, Spotify, which you have exited, of course, and you have others like Mapbox, which have achieved or which has achieved unicorn status. So, what are the reasons behind this tech focus? What is your investment horizon and the expected hurdle rate?
So we are essentially a long play. So for us, we believe that earlier it used to be an 8-10 year kind of a cycle. But today, best in class remains in private market for far longer than they used to. And hence, you have to have a very long play here. You have to be really patient. This is all about the value and not the volume. So it's not about number of checks you write, but then your ability to stay in the market or stay after this as they grow tall. We have never invested in any companies, or we cannot invest in companies that are listed. So all of these are private, and we have done them quite early in life. Essentially, when they have been, most of our investments are between seed and Series B. And we look at inflection point before we invest in them. And we believe inflection point comes several times, as like in our lives, also in the journeys of any good company, which is reinventing itself every now and then. And that's where when we see an inflection point, we even join later stage. We may have done C and D, but those are very rare. Generally, it is between seed and Series B.
Right, Series B and C. And also, Debneel, I can't help but notice that you have this US-based crypto exchange and also bank called Kraken on your portfolio. So what do you think are the implications of the fallout of FTX on investments into the blockchain and the tech scene from a VC perspective?
Surely what has happened in FTX is not desirable, and things could have been far better. But then if you take out the benefit of hindsight, we have to be also prepared that these are par for the courses in a way. And it's very easy to point fingers. But then if you put too much of regulation very early in the day, then you stifle disruption. And our play is basically disruptive innovation. And that's being the key theme. You have to be always mindful that these things can happen, may happen, and will happen. It's not the last time we are seeing, and it's not the last time we will see. Also, we have to remember that strongly regulated places, audited by the best in class, also has failed, and even recently, and in great destinations like Germany. So these things happen. These things are par for the course, and hence we have to balance between regulation and disruption. And our vote is always for disruption. That's what we play. So whoever doesn't believe in this disruption story, then they should not be in this space. They should just stick to regulatory space.
Right. So in terms of from your standpoint as a VC going forward, how to what extent would that influence your investment decisions or where you put your money in terms of blockchain and crypto going forward?
So essentially, if you see, first of all, we try to cut the fad. And anything which is in hype, we become very careful about that space. Because mostly hype means it's a crowded space, and crowded space means that either it's overvalued or it's fully valued. For that purpose, we are not God, neither we have divine intervention in us. So there will be several opportunities we will miss. That's fine with us. So there, the error of omission will be much less for us than the error of commission. So wherever we write checks, we try to be extremely careful. We try to do our best in class due diligence, and whenever in doubt, we rather like to pass them. So that's how we write very few checks. Again, as I said, this is all about value and not volume, and it's all about time in the market and not timing the market. So therefore, with that standpoint, we believe that the place that we have entered into, each one of them will have the ability to become an unicorn and a decacorn and eventually list itself. And thereafter, it will still give us a wonderful run, maybe a home run, if not a jackpot. So
Right.
that's where we come in. And at the same time, we are prepared that while we expect this from every investment we make, no matter how early they are, as I said, we do seed stage investments, Series A investments, Series B investments mostly, between seed and Series B. But then we expect them to, this is, as a runway, this is what we expect out of them. But at the same time, between us, when we are looking into the mirror, we always are prepared that we are part of the whole ecosystem where 2 out of 10 is the success ratio. Our aim is to make it 3 or 4 out of 10, and that's where we generate the superior alpha, not just by selecting where to invest in, but also casting the net far and wide in the blue ocean,
Right.
far and away, where really groundbreaking, game-changing, tech-defensible work is happening, and where there are driven by very resourceful founders who have real hard skills to do this kind of stuff. And that's where the key selection criteria come in.
So going forward, I'd like to have your views on this comment, Debneel, on one of comment by one of the major VC firms, GGV Capital. Now it says the reset for the tech industry is, or the tech industry rather, is facing a fundamental overhaul with rising geopolitical tensions, dwindling investor appetite for money-losing startups. Valuations have dropped 30 to 50% in some cases. Do you agree with this statement? And what is your assessment of the tech industry in the meantime and going forward?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much broadly speaking, I think whoever has said this, GGV or whosoever you said, I think it's resonates with us. And we also believe pretty much the similar narrative and think that this is very good. And this is something we have to be always prepared for. It's not that something we have never thought that will happen. We have rather expected that it will happen every now and then. The fact that it is happening so far and few is probably where I think we have to be pulling up our socks more, because that's what make us going. That's what make us alive. Because we can't. It's not fire and forget. You have to be constantly calibrating your approach. And if you really give, if there is too much money chasing too few deals, obviously there will be all egg on our face further down the road. When the water runs out, the tide runs out, you know who was swimming naked. So you have to always remember that every day is not a sunny day, and what will happen when the storms hit us.
Right. So, if you're just tuning in, we are now speaking to Debneel Mukherjee, founder and managing partner at Decacorn Capital. Well, Debneel, so going forward, what are some key trends that we as retail investors, we as consumers, or even yourself as VCs should be aware of, and where are you putting your money in for now?
Right. So the way we try to approach this is that we try to identify about 5 or 6 key platforms at the macro level where we feel that the technological innovations have arrived and they can really make a huge impact by way of creative destruction, disruptive innovation, and disrupting practically either large existing market opportunities or creating new ones, which will have exponential or rapid adoption curves. And towards those, we believe that some of these like energy storage, AI and deep learning, then genomics, then blockchain, cryptos. These are the spaces, Web3. These are the places where a lot of stuff is happening. But then also things change here very rapidly. This is like being in the San Francisco Bay Area. It may be sunny at 11 a.m. and by the time you get to the cruise boat and get to the bridge, you see it's all clouded and you can't even see the bridge from 500 meters. So you have to be prepared that much of these may not happen eventually. Right. And therefore, it's not about the overall global, the macro theme, but the micro curation that you finally do within that macro theme. That means you have to find that right target to invest into. And if you are not investing in finding that right target, and you are investing in a theme or a story or a fad, just because it is the fashion or the flavor for the season, then you will land up mostly giving money to gruesome players who has no cutting edge or any advantage, competitive advantage to stand out in a storm.
And well, but in that case, I want to look at geographies because we saw China being particularly hard hit with the value of VC capital deals tumbling 44% on year through October. Do you think there are any markets that VCs like yourself should avoid entering at this point in time?
So I guess rather I answer this question in a different way. We should know that we have very limited influence, and we therefore are a factor of time and tide, and hence we have to play to it and has to be extremely nimble. As the time and tide changes, we have to also change our course. We have to calibrate our approach, our glide path, and towards that end, if you see where we stand and the way we look at it, we have low-hanging fruits in America, where practically everything is there. We look at original ideas. They are all in America. Whatever you say and do, there is no original idea in Asia. We have to accept it, despite being Asians, staying here, whether it's India, whether it's China, does not matter. Southeast Asia, we are all copying ideas from US. At the same time, we can speak very well English. And we have Western education. And therefore, we should first focus on what we can therefore make it happen. That means America. And that's where I think in this time and tide, most of the creative work is happening, and most of that is actually harnessable. The regulations are not so stifling. There is an American dream out there which make people aspire for, and then failure as a cult is actually par for the course, which is not in Asia. In Asia, we can't accept failure. We can't condone failure, which is par for the course in US, not even in Europe. So that's where we need to focus on. And that's where, if you see, we didn't start off this way. We went in search of making the best in class where world is our oyster, and we landed up most of our investments in America. 62% of our investments in America, while this is not by design, it's more by default. And then we have been about 20% next in line is Israel, which again is a holy grail of cutting edge deep tech.
Well, Debneel, I want to wrap up by talking about some of your recent investments. You've recently participated in this $28 million pre-Series B funding round for SpeedDoc. So tell us more about the investment very quickly.
So first of all, we have not participated in this round. I must clarify that. We had been an earlier investor in SpeedDoc, and this round, I guess, SpeedDoc has grown to a scale where they now have larger investors who are putting in bigger amount of money at a significantly higher valuation. And I think it's now time for us to stop and wait and patiently wait and watch it bloom. So I rather put money in SpeedDocs of the similar to SpeedDocs of the world, who are today in Series C stage or in Series A, and promote them. They're doing awesome, and I wish them all the success.
All right. Thank you very much, Debneel. That was Debneel Mukherjee, founder and managing partner at Decacorn Capital. Thank you very much for joining us on Money FM 89.3.
Thank you for having me.
Money FM 89.3.